How past trauma affects future relationships. Many people have been traumatized one way or another, and that can definitely impact your future relationships. I want you to stay with us as we talk about this topic. If you've not subscribed to our channel, I want you to subscribe. Click the button. If you have a question about this or any of the 1,000 YouTubes that we have out there, please put a question there. We get back to you as soon as possible. This is really important. Now, before I get into this, I've been through many traumas. I was conceived in adultery, abandoned, put in foster homes, sexually abused, broken relationships. I get it, okay? So I want you to know that it's not just Dr. Doug talking to you. It's a person who's traveled the road of trauma. I'm actually just finishing up another book on trauma and what it reveals and what it heals, and I'm excited about that project. But listen, trauma is real, but how it impacts our future relationships is really based on a couple things. Firstly, the meaning we give the trauma. If we are still blaming ourselves or putting responsibility on ourselves for the trauma, it will largely affect you in the future, because that's a lie. The person who sexually abused you, raped you, traumatized you, broke your heart, that's the responsibilities on them for their behavior. And if we give ourselves responsibility, we're trying to work on a problem we can't solve. So it'll put you on this treadmill, and you don't want to be on that as you move into the future. Secondly, how you respond to trauma. And this is hugely important about how it impacts your future. Now, for the last 40 years, I have worked with men and women who've flown into Heart Counseling Center in Colorado Springs, and I've seen thousands of couples who've been betrayed, infidelity, pornography addiction, intimacy, anorexia, where they neglect you. I've seen these traumas. I've seen some of these people go through divorce situations, and they repeat the same pattern. They find another person who neglects them. They find another person who cheats on them. They find another person who does pornography or other addictions. And why is that? Well, it's how they responded to the initial trauma. When you have trauma in your life, doesn't matter when it occurred, you can learn or you can cope. And there's a big difference between the two. And how you respond to the trauma, let's talk about coping. Coping is you will usually move towards mistrust of people. You will isolate. You will tend to either medicate or survive. Surviving could be depression, various kinds of distraction in your life, hiding your heart. Coping would also include any addictive behaviors: overeating, overgaming, overworking, alcohol, drugs, pornography, sexual behaviors, any kind of ways where you are artificially trying to numb a feeling from your past that you're unwilling to feel or process. So if you do that, if you go down the road of coping, you're almost guaranteed to give yourself more trauma, and sometimes even the exact same trauma, because you haven't learned anything differently. You go to the same places to date. You ask the same questions. You don't know more questions to ask. Your intent is not up for red flags. You don't listen to red flags. And you get in the same situation where you can move forward in a duplicating type of relationship. And the other thing is you can actually, from trauma, begin to move to mistrust, which can move you into isolating your heart, which means you won't share your heart. So the quality of intimacy that you are willing to give lessens significantly. So you will probably attract someone who wants less intimacy or is willing to tolerate less intimacy in the initial stages of the relationship, but then pain comes to both of you because you're both suffering from a lack of skill to be able to be truly intimate, connected, and unified. And so you can set up patterns for yourself if you go down the cope road. Especially, I've seen women, I've worked with a lot of women over the last 40 years who will go out dating and do it exactly the same way. They'll go to the same bar, they'll go to the same places. They don't ask the kind of questions they need to. Actually, I've had so many women say, Dr. Weiss, how can my daughter not make these mistakes? I did a product called Finding Mr. Right. It's 3 hours, it's like a master's level course on dating, but it helps you look not only at him and what you need to know there, but also to look at yourself and where you need to be stronger and where you need to grow and mature, so that you attract someone that you can be interdependent with, instead of trying to find someone who can just fill the hole or fill that vacancy of the area of your life that you don't want to mature in. It's a great thing if you're in that situation. I strongly recommend it. Or if you have a daughter that's anywhere from 14 to 50 who's in a situation where she's not married and is looking, that would be very helpful. But this mistrust thing is big. In the Partner Betrayal Trauma book and the DVD, I have a whole chapter on this, because it leads you down a road of a smaller life and a smaller heart. And therefore, you will be different in relationships, and you will attract people who may not require you to do the work and tolerate your coping, but over decades, that coping can become problematic. So that's how it can affect you if you go down the road of coping. Now, the other way is if you give the meaning of the trauma to the perpetrator, then you can go down the road of learning and healing. Now, if you go down that road, and I would suggest it might take a little while, you're getting the materials like the Partner Betrayal Trauma, you're doing the workbooks, you're probably in a support group, you're probably in counseling, or you've come and done an intensive for 5 days, done the neuromodulation, like you've done the work. You've learned how to become emotionally fit. And honestly, most people don't have that skill. I have 4 degrees. No one taught me that skill. So I wrote a book called Emotional Fitness, which can in 60 days transform your emotional development significantly, so that you are able to identify what you feel what you feel instead of running from what you feel, express and communicate what you feel, and to be able to switch your feelings so that feelings are not running your life. Because the last thing you want to do is make solely an emotional decision on future relationships. Because honestly, that's how many bad relationships get started, is we have this feeling about that person and or how they make us feel, and we're not really evaluating the quality of life that they have and how that matches with the quality of life that we want for our future. Learning looks like getting materials. Learning looks like asking for help. And what does that do? That keeps you in the trust development. Mistrust is the beginning of your development. Trauma resets you back to that very beginning where you choose to trust or mistrust. Like the person's, I lived in Colorado Springs for a long time, and we had a big military community. One guy would be in the gym training for, some kind of Olympic event, and the other guy would be holding a sign to get money off the street to drink alcohol or drugs. They had the same trauma. One learned to trust his doctors and his therapist and had a vision for his life that included trusting others to get there, and the other decided to close their heart, to not trust anybody, and shut down, and their life became very, very small. It wasn't the trauma, it was how they trusted or mistrusted. And qualifying people to trust is part of the learning process. Learning what safe people look and feel like is very, very important. So, and as a healing person, you move into those kind of situations where you can experience trust and safety. Now, if you go down this road, you become more intelligent in the way you approach relationships. You become more skilled in the way that you manage and relate and are able to be intimate. Even when you're hurting, even when it's difficult, you can show up with yourself. You don't have to hide. You've learned to accept yourself, your own foibles, and understand that, there's always areas to grow in life. And you accept that about your partner. So you're not looking for Mr. or Mrs. Perfect to fix you that's imperfect. You're looking for someone who's kind of in life doing their own work, growing and evolving like you want to. Well, trauma can affect your future relationships significantly if you go down a route the wrong way. But if you choose healing and education and skill development, you can have the opposite effect, where your relationships are actually better in the future. I've experienced that. I've seen thousands of men and women experience that, where neither one had the emotional fitness skills, neither one did the anger and trauma work on their sexual abuse or traumas or rapes or other ways that they've been betrayed. And when they do that work, they show up better. They're not making as many mistakes. They don't have guilt and shame for who they are. They're able to move into the future, attracting good things and good people. That's my heart for you. Now, if you need help, call Heart to Heart Counseling, 719-278-3708. Go to our website, drdougweiss.com. There's lots of healing materials. Like if you struggle with self-esteem, there's something on worthy. There's things for your marriages, many books and materials on that. I want you to have the best. Do not let someone who hurts you, let that define you or impact you or the people you love the most. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button. If you have a question, happy to answer it.